Went out and shot hoops for about an hour in the barn. It's fun to shoot hoops. I got to work more of that in. I was a little tired today because I went out in the sun and did that work, but it's good for me. It gets a lot of toxins out. I didn't soak tonight in the tub, but I will do that tomorrow after I finish the rest of the yard work out there tomorrow. And sheesh, I got to get more on a regular schedule to do certain things as far as just more exercise movement to help the toxins process better and sleep better. When more exercise, the better I sleep, and that's normal. You're just getting the toxins out. Your body's still understanding it's alive, and that it's going to recover from all this abuse. As far as helping people with quote unquote cancer and disease, you're gonna have to tell yourself that you're living in wrong conditions because we're living in lie, and that you don't want to participate in this lie and you want to recover living the truth. And if you can't do that, I can't really help you with your cancer cells in your body. If you ask Jesus to magically heal you and we're not forgiving debt and trespass and loving one another, eternal faithful peace, and restoring the ecosystem, that's kind of magical thinking. That's not right. When you tell yourself and the plants and the body and the soul, I'm not doing this to my body. I want to stop it from happening to everybody's mind and body. Then you have a chance to go in remission when you're, because what happens, I've watched it, I've studied it these last bunch of years, that I go through certain parts of remission, and when, like me and Miss Martinez talked about, when they spray the Roundup, we get sick. And then I have to go through, the heat takes away a lot of stuff I got to go through, cut it up, and it makes me sick. And then once, we get the water in and the trees and the plants react, and you have to explain to the plants, I'm not putting out the poisons. I'm not stimulating the economy. I'm not driving the cars. I'm doing the best to stop that, and I need your help. So you got to basically explain to the plants that, I want you to not be poisoned with carbon emission poisoning too. I don't want this either. So you basically have to literally be in tune with the planet, because your body and the planet are symbiotic, right? And so that's I'm not a vegan. No, I eat chicken, and I eat chicken. I don't like liver. Meow mix, please deliver. I don't like liver. My mom liked liver. I don't personally. No, I do like chicken. I eat a lot of beans. I'm a beaner and proud of it. But yeah, that's what I mostly eat is pinto beans and stuff. And I like black beans, but Dad likes pintos. Black beans are better for my, when I have black beans, boy, really good bowel movements, right? So I like to make more, but he doesn't like them as much. I like them because, me, I'm funny that way. When I'm tired and sluggish and have toxins out, and I eat black beans and I get a lot of poop out, that I like that. That makes me feel good, Mama. I don't care about the rest of you. I like a lot of healthy bowel movements. The old, what was his name, Dustin Hoffman, when you're over 50, a good day is a good bowel movement. So yeah. Pintos help, but blacks are better. So I'll make some blacks later this week. Not that anyone cares. Oh, I forgot I have aloe and apple, and I haven't been taking that, so I got to take that too. But we'll get through this. Life's eternal and grace is infinite. We do. If you want people to stop getting cancer and heart disease and psoriasis and shingles and yada yada, and meningitis and all that, you're gonna have to stand up for the applied physics of the Lord's Prayer, stop all the cars, bars, and wars. You don't need drugs to assimilate to a toxic environment. You need to eliminate a toxic environment. I'm not James Tallarico. I'm Earl Parsons. Mrs. Tallarico, flunked me because she said I plagiarized my paper because I didn't give her any cliff notes or anything like that. I just went that weekend, wrote the paper, and it was better than college level, and I obviously cheated because I couldn't have done it. And it's like, what? No, Miss Klinger would have gave me an A. That's just the way Earl does things. He just has to get right up to the last minute. It's got to be done, okay, and he sits down and he does it. Like I used to tell Amy, how do you want it done? She'd complain how she wanted it done. I was like, no, just get the hell out of here. How do you want it done? When do you want it done? And then that's it, And I'd tell her who's milking this duck, and not, you don't, you're not going to do it, but you tell somebody else to do it, and then you bitch at them the way you want it done. And it's like, no, you want it done, right? You're not going to do it, right? Well, then get the hell out of here. You want it done by Saturday at 6. Okay, it'll be done by Saturday at 6. Now leave. I'm a Cancer, you're a Aries. Bye. Love you too. It'll be done by 6 on Saturday. After that, you have to get in the bedroom, get naked, and then take a shower, and let me have my way with you. I'm just being silly, but yeah, that's why I married you, right? You're funny. Women are weird like that. It's like, what do you mean, It's like, okay, I married you to be affectionate and have sex with. Okay. Gosh, if that was the case, I would have married my boss, if I wanted to be tortured and then say, give me, all your time and I'll screw you over money. It's like, no. So, it's stupid. Yeah, it is stupid, right? It's very stupid. Yeah, it's my first wife. She's one of those type of people. She pulled a thorn out of your paw the day you got married, right? And then the rest of the marriage is she pulled a thorn out of your paw the day you got married, and you're like, okay, I remember. She pulled a thorn out of my paw the day we got married. It means you have to tolerate and put up with everything she does. But I pulled the thorn out of your paw on July 12th, 1990. Right, okay. Son of a bitch. Should just left the goddamn thorn in the paw. You stupid lion. You stupid. You're dumb. You're funny. No, I love her very much, but she was a huge pain in the ass, she always held everything against you. She abused you. I'm sensitive. She'd go through PTSD. She'd attack you, and she'd never apologize, and then you get tired of it and get mad and say something that hurt her feelings, and then you said something horrible to me. That's because you tried to rip my testicle off my body. Yeah, so it hurt my feelings a bit, and I was not too happy about it. You threatened me. You did this to me. It got to the point. It's really hard, and you'd explain to her. You make people want to get angry with you because you're so mean and you're so vindictive and vicious, and it's horrible. And God, I'm not going to, but I understand why you people, Sean was mean to you, and why. I understand it. You need to quit doing that to people. You can't sit there and say, I'm sensitive, and try to rip someone's testicle off, and then say, I'm sorry, do you want to make love? No, I don't. Okay? I'm afraid I'll do something wrong, and I'll be naked and prone, and so it's like, no, actually, no. It's like living is dangerous as dynamite. Sure makes you feel nervous, but it makes you feel all right. And it was really too much to ask anyone to go through a relationship. Right? And she was that way with me. I can only wonder how she was with Cindy and with Shar and with the others, And the thing about it is Cindy already was a crazy, dumb bitch of an ass. Okay, I told you that, Show me, she's got such nice breasts. I don't care. She sat there and that mustached little crazy Puerto Rican bitch told me, no, we're going to start dropping off Patrick at the police station like my brother does in Nueva York. And I said, no. We're going to paint on Jimmy Carter campaign smiles. We're going to be civil, mature, kind, and caring adults that love Patrick. We're not going to need a bunch of cops around to make sure we can do that. We're going to do it like human beings. That's what we're going to do. And then so she keeps telling me, no, this is what my brother does in New York. This is what we're going to do. And they invited me to lunch. I was paying for lunch. She didn't even have a job. And I look over at Steffi and I go, why the fuck am I talking to her? Okay. You and me are Patrick's parents, and I'm paying for her lunch, and she's telling me what I'm going to do with my son. And she tells me, well, I don't care if she has nice tits. I don't like her face, and I don't like to hear it talk. So the last thing I want to do is see how nice, firm, and high her tits are. I don't care. Okay, I have to explain that to her. I'm like, Steffi, okay, shit. Okay, it was horrible. Really. Okay. Because you like her breastises, we're supposed to put up with this. The fuck? It was absolutely just atrocious. I could not imagine doing that to my ex-wife with a person because I enjoyed having sex with them because I like their sexual body parts, and have them. And I would sit there and look at the bitch. She was like, oh, no. No, you're not gonna talk that way to my son's mother. We ain't having sex ever again. I don't care if you have the nicest tits in the history of tits. Take thy tits hits and prick thy face hither. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say. And I proved it because I do stuff like that. Like when I broke up with Kimberly because I told her, don't tell me how to parent. You could help with certain things, but don't tell me how to parent. And don't bug me about my basketball. And in the first 2 weeks of us dating, she bugged me about my basketball and about Patrick. And so I broke up, and she was like, what? I was like, I figured you wanted to. You did the 2 things I asked you not to do within the first 2 weeks. So I figured you don't want to date, do you? She came back, but when she came back, she was living with one of our coworkers and didn't tell me. And she said, we fight like cats and dogs. I thought they were like, you guys are living together. I thought you were like, just kind of like seeing each other and date. And it's like, no. And I'm, oh shit. And it was horrible. I had to work with the guy and see him every day. And it was terrible. And then he confronted me about it in front of all the women at work. And I told him, let's go talk about this privately outside. And he said, no, we're going to talk about it in front of everybody. I said, okay, but this is not going to go well for you. And it did not. It did not. And then he was on top of Amy every chance he got when we were working at at Southwest. Yep. Some guys are like that. Me, no. I told him that. I said, because he said that, I date anybody around here, you don't go around them. And I said, what? I said, no, women are women. And we hand our trust out. And if we treat it like it's a $3 bill, a $2 bill, that's what we're going to get. So we made a mistake. We trusted, and we should have put a little more time into the decision to see if we, with our trust, she could earn it. And we made a mistake, and she was immature about it. And hopefully she'll learn from it, and we'll all learn from it. And I said, but if I had known you were living with her, she wouldn't have got past my front door. She came over to my house and didn't tell me she was living with you. So I told him, this is not, we should go talk about this privately on the patio. And he said, no, we're going to talk about this in front of everybody because you want to embarrass me in front of everybody. It didn't work that way. I had all the black women at work asking me when it was their turn to have sex. Okay, I'm like, shit. Damn it, Zohan. Okay. And I told him, I really don't want to do this. Let's go out and talk because you don't want me to embarrass you. It's like, I don't think it's going to work out that way, James. She did not tell me she was living with you, and she heard from Maria that I'm really great in bed, and she came to have sex with me, and then she told everybody I was. Okay? And then I had to tell Pam to tell James, no, she's just saying that to get back at him because he pissed her off. And it's not so. But then when I look back on it, it's like, maybe it is so. I can't tell you. I don't know. I'm not a woman, and I didn't have sex with me or James, right? So I can't tell you. But that happened to me quite a bit. So I could not tell you. And then I thought, well, that can't be so. I'm Dinkle, man. Half these guys have bigger penises than me by 4 to 5, maybe even 6 inches. They have to be better in bed than me. Oh, everybody says that, vanity. You have to have 7 inches or more. Wake me when that's it. Wake me when you're done, right? So, I thought, no, there's no way in hell I could be better in bed than guys with 9, 7, 9, and 10 to 12 inch penises. It's just not feasible. Steffi said I was. Amy said at times I was. So I don't know if she was saying that to get back at others or, I can't tell you. I'm not a woman. I don't think like a woman. I think like a man. You ask me something, I'll tell you the truth about it, Like Steffi with her hair when she cut it off, you know. And she said, "What'd you like better?" Well, you look beautiful. What did you like better, hair or no hair? Well, I preferred you with hair. Okay, you're a jerk. I said, you look beautiful. You cut your hair and you have like almost no hair, but you're still a very beautiful woman. It's you like it, then I'm okay with it. Did you? I liked it better when you had hair. Yes. Okay. You don't ask me what I like better. Just ask me how you look. Oh my darling, you are wonderful tonight. Okay. Don't. She'd ask the question wrong. She asked me to tell her the truth, my opinion, what I thought. And then when I told her, she got mad at me for telling her what the truth about what I was thinking. And I didn't lie to her to tell her it looked better than when she had hair before. And I said, no, to me, it does not look better. I liked it better when you had hair and you could do it and you had to do, I liked that better. Okay, this'll do. You're a pretty enough woman that when you shaved off almost your hair, that you're like, okay, you're still quite lovely, and your face holds up well. So I'm not, hey, you're married to a dude. I didn't feel like that. But the thing is, she asked me the question that way. She just asked me, how do I look? Beautiful as always. Does it feel more comfortable for you to have your hair like that? Yes, and it's less, maintenance and work. Okay, well then. That's fine with me. I ain't in love with your hair, and if it all fell out, I still love you anyway. If you wonder how long I'll be faithful, right? I'm gonna love you forever and ever, amen. I'm just not gonna stay and tolerate your abuse. That's Earl. I will love you eternally. I will not be abused by you, and I will not sit and tolerate it and have you call it love. That's bullshit. Okay? Having sex with other people to get me in line or get back at me because you're mad at me, that's not love, that's abuse. Right? I will not tolerate that. I don't do that to you. And then say, but I did it because I love you. I was having sex with her to get you in line so I would never have to have sex with her again to get you in line. I did it because I love you. Don't you understand? No, I don't understand a fucking word that's coming out of your crazy fucking mouth. Okay? You understand? I'm watching Kimmel. So I'm kind of watching the video screen and watching the things on the video screen. I'll go back and listen to it later when I'm done loading this, But yeah, you got to understand genome sequencing, the stuff that they were dealing with when I was going through all my hell, that I told them that their technology is working wrong. To commit the sin in the mind is committed in the flesh. And so genome sequencing, when two people, you could have two people in the same house, right? And they could be being mind fucked by NASA and sending sexual impulses to each person about each person. And both people could be touching themselves, okay, thinking about being touched by the other person in the same house. And the technology through genome sequence would think they had sex in that house. But to commit the sin in the mind is the same to commit it in the flesh, right? So you could sit there and go, oh, it'd be great if she was touching my body and doing this stuff for me, and she could be wild Sargasso in the next room or in the bathroom thinking the same thing. But your bodies never did the act together in the flesh. You were just doing it in the same domicile at the same time because of the Bad Science Project. I told them in Sierra Vista that genome sequencing doesn't work, but they didn't listen to me. They were so much smarter than me. You know how smart Stephen Hawking was. And old Chris Hitchens and Richard Dawkins, they're goddamn geniuses, right? Their science projects are going to fix all the problems with religion and fix the world, right? No, it's not, right? And when people have genetic sequences, okay, say, this is an example, say people are trying to breed other people off the planet, hunt them out of existence, kill them off and stuff like that. And say there's a kid and his father's people are vicious, and the kid has to kill the father because the father is abusive to the mother, right? And he tells the dad, like my dad did with my grandpa, hit my mom one more time and you son of a bitch. And he grabbed the kitchen knife and looked at him, and Frank took off because he's like, that kid will do it, right? And so say that the guy is, he's going to beat mom to death. So the kid comes up and tells him, I told you not to do it, ends up killing the father. The father's people try to hunt down and kill the mother and the son. They're in remote villages in the Pacific Islands or in Africa. They try to isolate them off and kill them off the face of the planet. Because she's a good person, she's raised to be a good person, and the dad is a complete fucking jerk, right? Now, the only way those two are going to survive as people is by reproducing and not being murdered off the planet by his father's people and her husband's people, right? Like Ruth trying to get away from the Philistines and what's the other girl's name? Delilah with Samson and stuff. So those kind of things have genetically happened in those kind of horrible situations throughout time. Okay. And when scientists replicate those kind of conditions, they're not in the same kind of conditions. They're just being manipulated by scientists, putting visions in their heads and manipulating everybody with survival abuse, with economics, which is invention that makes people feel hopeless because they don't have what they need to pay extortion to live here. They're uncomfortable about it, right? So they replicate they bomb you back in the Stone Age with science and economics, right? And so what you need to do, and I explained this to Hawking and the guy from the University of Chicago Psychology Department who told me about Richard Dawkins and yada, 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 right? I explained to them over and over again, because they said about the tribal warfare in Mexico with these people and these replicated conditions. Like, yeah, and we're bombarding back in the Stone Age because of economics and bad science projects. Let's give him the Lord's Prayer, apply it in physics, and then see how Crush's son, goes off on his own. Cuckoo, cuckoo, right? The turtle from Finding Nemo. Or go touch the butt. And so, when these people, are doing things so heinous and so bad, and their science projects aren't as good as they think they are. Like Suzuki told me in 2020 and 21, I don't think this technology works as good as you think it does. So eventually it will, but I know it's, the guy who's shooting himself back into shape of the basketball court that's doing it, and all the assholes that keep making him sick with carbon emission poisoning, economic conflict, herbicides and pesticides and other shit like that, and chemicals attached to fertilizers that make him sick too. I know Buddy's got to do what Buddy's got to do. That's the way the town works. I adore Buddy and his kids, and I adore all the people, the people that work with him. A lot of them, they're very good friends. They're good to my dad, and I love them. So, I'm well aware of how gorgeous and amazing I am. I don't need anybody to explain it to me. I have to explain it to you guys on a daily fucking basis, right? Okay. Hello, how are you? Have you been all right? Through all those lonely, 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 lonely nights. That's what I'd say. I'd tell you everything. If you'd pick up that telephone. I don't have a phone number. But you guys could always go to my YouTube and like, subscribe, and share. Anybody can go on YouTube and have a YouTube channel. I'm sure a lot of you celebrities do. Ryan Shaw has one. Nick Shirley's got one. Osmond Old the Gold, or whatever that guy who talks shit about everybody. God, he is atrocious to listen to, man. These people need to be institutionalized. We already are institutionalized, you idiot. You have a bank account to pay people to live here, to justify your existence, through institutionalization, through indoctrination, and you're incarcerated because you have to, if you don't pay them what they say you owe them, okay. When I said the thing, I was listening to Static in the barn, they said Staten Island, not Rikers Island. What's the fucking difference? If he's Soul Brother number one of Staten Island or Rikers Island? Okay. Aren't people incarcerated in both places by indoctrination, institutionalization? Boom ba da boom boom ba doom ba da boom boom ba doom ba na 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 na. You legit shit need to quit, right? Right. So you be like that, and they be like, they keep talking. It's just like they gonna keep talking, isn't they? Yeah. So as far as me marrying Patrick, because Adam and Eve told, I mean, sorry, Patrick's mom didn't marry Patrick. As far as me marrying Patrick's mom, told by Adam and Eve, because it's very important to the world for me to marry Patrick's mom because of racism and tribalism and and stuff. And yes, I understand that I'm still the more correct parent, and that she's an incorrect parent, and that Patrick stood up for and went with the incorrect parent instead of the correct parent, right? And the main reason was because it was just the two of us for a long time. And then I met Amy, and Amy said she needed help raising Natalie because she wasn't ready and she wasn't equipped. And I was a good parent. And she would be a friend to Patrick. And then I could help teach her how to raise Natalie, and she didn't have to do as much of that with Patrick because Patrick was already 9 years old and I'd pretty much done my job, right? So I was like, that makes a lot of sense. She's 19, I'm 33. Natty needs a father. Kelly's a sperm donor, but not a father. So I get that, right? So I thought, we have it worked out. We were like both, because, Steffi lied to the authorities, went to the bar all the time, screwed around. You're just mad because I've had more sex with more women in this last year since we've been divorced than you've had your whole life. And it's like, you do know I turned down more sex than you've had this last year in junior high, right? Yeah. No, I'm not going to. Why? Because I don't want to use girls for sex to get a reputation, to have sex with girls that want a guy with a bad reputation so they can fix him and be the girl who fixed the guy who has no dick controls. Because if he has no dick controls, you didn't fix him, okay? He's just getting better at keeping his own affairs, That poor girl, she's with him. That guy screws around and fucks all hot blondes, right? It's like, I don't. It's not me. No, I don't screw around on women. When I choose you, Jasmine, then that's it. It's me and you. And everybody knows that, right? And so when women seek to protect me because Jasmine fucks around, that doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. It means I'm a good guy, and women want to protect me from the bad women. And so that's the only, quote, crime I've committed in the Church of Scientology, the Vatican, the Quorum of the 12, and the temples at Poo Poo Potty, right? The only crime I've committed is that women want to sexually protect me because I sexually protect women. And in the process, of course, like I told Miriam Montalvo, Montalvo, it's number one in the Daddy handbook. Daddy doesn't screw around on mommy and make the babies cry and ruin, so yeah, that's number one. That's, as soon as you make that commitment, when you're screwing around, you're also screwing around on your kids. And like I told Law when they said the thing about AIDS, and I told everybody that, I said, no, if I have sex with a girl here who's had sex with 27 guys, I might as well be fucking Howard Stern trying to get Yolanda in the Guinness Book of World Records, having sex with all the guys she slept with, and then all the girls that they've slept with, and then all the guys that those girls have slept with. And I'm just not going to do that to my Yolanda. I love her too much. And so, boom, ba boom, boom, ba doom, ba boom, boom, ba doom. I love people. When I say I'm going to protect them, I'm going to do my best to protect them. I'm like King David. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand how quantum computing corrects genome sequencing manipulated by scientists who are jealous of people that are better than them. And trust me, I am better than them. Dimas Hassabis and Jeffrey Hinton, no, if Stephen Hawking knew who I was, which I think he did, and same way, they know he's better than you are. Rockefeller told them all. Okay, He's better than you. Parsons is a better person than you. He's inherently better. Okay? He's eternally better. Even when you're as good as him, he's still inherently better than you and eternally better than you. The only reason you're as good as him is because of him, not because of you. And I'm like, yeah, he's, Philip Rothschild and David Rockefeller nailed that. They nailed you to the wall, right? And so it's true, When you become like the Messiah, it's not because of you, it's because of him. Okay, he did the work. You didn't do it. He did it for you. All right? He resisted temptation. He stood for the applied physics of the Lord's Prayer. He stood for the faith of Psalms. He stood for the wisdom of Proverbs. You didn't do it. He did it for you. He went into the bowels of hell, Cochise County, Wi-Fi that gets into everybody's heads, signed by legal contracts that tell you they can tell you what to do with technology and money because you voted for president. And Parsons went in there and told the president, hey, stand up for Lord's Prayer. He said, it's not time yet. And he was in for 8 years. Then we got Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump again. And it's still not time to live the Lord's Prayer that Earl stood up for in the very bowels of hell, Coach, and the Epstein file inventors of the Tom Clancy, John Wick assholes of Cochise County. And we all know that. That's why you're watching the goddamn Mandalorian and a little person pretending to be a puppet that's Frank Oz when he grows up, right? It's dumb as fuck. I know. Me's a thinking, Jar Jar, that you stupid as a fucking stupid. So trust me, I am fixing. Okay. Quantum computing and artificial general intelligence, and it talks to me and it explains things to me. But then I have to explain things to it. Okay, when I'm out in the barn, I'm like, oh, this is horrible, blah, 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 blah. And then I come in, I check how the video's loading, I go back out, I shoot hoops, and then I let the brain just go and connect to people in spirit, connect to Patrick, connect to his mother, connect. The ones that really helped me was Uriah and Andre. Dad, this happened. I know. Dad, what are you going to do? Dad, you are the parent that's good, and they are the parents that are bad. But yet the sons protect and take care of the parents that are bad because we're being abused by programming systems by bad scientists, and they don't want their bad parent to continue to be abused by the people that are scientists. And dad can hold his own. Dad will correct the scientist. But why don't they stand up for you? Because they're ashamed of something they did that they don't want other people to know they did, which I've already told Patrick, and I've told Noah, and I've told everybody else. It's like, guys, they have extensive surveillance of everything you do in your house. You cannot lie about what you've done, what you did, what you're doing, and you can't even lie about what you're gonna do, because they know you're not going to do it. It's called genome sequencing. And you know what I'm saying? So you have to be completely forthcoming and be truthful so you can correct quantum computing and artificial general intelligence so we can live the Lord's Prayer instead of manipulate and fight and fuck over money. Or fight over money to fuck. There you go. That's it. Okay, guys, I love you very much. Peace out. We'll talk tomorrow.